This call is now being recorded.
Okay, so the name of the second chapter is the method study. Okay, so in the chapter number 1, whatever the one concept we have discussed, that is work study. That work study is furtherly divided into the two types. One is the method study and another is the work measurement. So that method study, whatever the concept is there, based on this we are having the separate chapter in order to understand the concept of the method study in detail. We are going to discuss the concept of method study in this particular chapter number 2, which are the techniques are used in the method study, that we are going to discuss. In addition to that, whatever the second concept is there, work measurement, based on the work measurement also you are having the separate chapter as a chapter number 4. That means whatever in the chapter number 1 the concept of work study is there, which is furtherly divided into the two subtypes, that is method study and the work measurement. Based on that particular method study you are having the separate chapter as a chapter number 2, which we are discussing now. Similarly, whatever the second concept is there, work measurement, based on that particular work measurement also you are having the separate chapter as a chapter number 4. So both the concepts once again we will discuss in the detail. So now we'll discuss about the chapter number 2, which is called as a method study. And that method study, the concept of that particular method study is coming from the work study concept. And already we have discussed that the method study means to eliminate the unnecessary operations, and from that we have to select the best method. Because in the industry sometimes we are developing the new product or we are developing the new manufacturing processes. At that time, while developing the new product we have to develop the new manufacturing process also. While developing or while preparing the new manufacturing process we have to apply the concept of this particular method study. Without applying this particular concept of method study, the system or the process can be designed, but many times in that particular process some unnecessary operations are also present. So in order to avoid such types of the unnecessary operations in that particular new process, the concept of this particular method study we have to implement in the industry or while developing the new processes. In addition to that, sometimes we are doing the modification in the existing processes. Already process is available, already product is available, already that process is implemented in the industry for the development of product. But while development of the product, it has been observed that in that particular process some unnecessary operations are also present. So if I have to eliminate that particular unnecessary operations, I have to apply this particular concept of method study. So due to that implementation, what you will do, you can eliminate that particular unnecessary operations from that existing process. Whatever process is already available, in that process, in that existing process some unnecessary operations are there, and I have to remove, I have to eliminate that particular unnecessary operations, and after modification I have to develop the new technique or the new method. That time also I have to apply the concept of this particular method study. That means for the modification in the existing process as well as for the development of more easier economical method, for both the conditions the concept of method study will be applicable. Now if you go through this particular syllabus of this particular chapter, what are the contents or which topics or which part we have to cover in this particular chapter number 2? That is, first one is a definition of the method study. In the chapter number 1 we have discussed it in detail, but once again, as per the different British standards, as per the different contribution from the different scientists, that definitions also we are going to discuss in detail. Then their objective, the scope of the method study, that also we are going to discuss. Then some basic symbols, as already we have told. In industry, some unskilled operators, some skilled operators, some supervisors are working on the machine or they are working on the line. If I have to give or if I have to represent any technique to that particular unskilled operators or the skilled operator, so instead of that value given in the descriptive manner, instead of that particular concept or instead of that particular process, it is given in the descriptive manner. If I will represent that particular concept or the process in the symbolic manner, so through this particular symbol, that unskilled operator or the skilled operators or the supervisors, they can easily understood that what they have to do. If I will give all the information in the descriptive manner, maybe 2-3 writing pages, at that time that's unskilled operators are unaware. Sometimes they are not able to read that particular pages also. But if I will represent that particular information, if I will represent that particular description in the form of symbolic manner, then that workers can easily understood that which operations they have to perform now, what exactly they have to do. Therefore, in this particular method study, we are going to discuss or we are going to decide some standard symbols. Means if I have to do the operation or the operation, which symbol will be given. If I have to go for the inspection, means checking of the product, then which symbol I have to use. If I have to show the transport, that means your product is moving from one workstation to the another workstation, then how that particular transportation can be represented by the symbol. So the separate symbol will be there. If I have to store the product in the store device, so that storage also can be represented by the separate symbol. If there is any delay means during operation, if sometimes there is a breakage of tool, there is a finishing of the coolant, maybe oil will be finished, the machine is under the maintenance, so due to such conditions we have to stop that particular operations, means delay is coming in that particular operation, and that delay can be represented by some of the symbols. So whatever the task is performed by the machine or equipment, man and the material, each and every task of that particular 3 input resources can be represented in the symbolic manner. Because what happened in the industry, the movement of material is also taking place from one workstation to the another workstation. Similarly, the movement of the human beings or movement of that particular operator is also taking place from one workstation to the another workstation. Also, whatever the number of operations are performed by the same machine, that operations also we can represent in the symbolic manner. So through this particular symbol, that workers can easily understood that what exactly they have to perform and what exactly they have to do. So that symbols also we are going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss about some charts. Just now we have discussed whatever the symbols we are using in that particular techniques or in this particular method study, some recording techniques are there. If I have to record the movement of the material, if I have to record the movement of man, if I have to record the movement of material, so all these particular movements can be recorded in the form by using the recording techniques. So if I have to do the recording or if I have to prepare a one standard of procedure, at that time different types of the recording techniques are there in this particular method study, which we have to select. In that first one is a chart. So there are different types of the charts are there. For example, operation process chart is there, flow process chart is there, multiple activity chart is there, two-handed process chart is there. Then some diagrams are also there. Chart is one of the type of recording technique. Similar to the chart, this diagram is also one of the recording techniques. We can show some of the operations by using the diagrams also. So which types of the diagrams we are going to study? We are going to study the flow diagram and the string diagram. Then travel chart. Travel chart means sometimes workstation one component is moving to the workstation number 1, it is moving to the workstation number 2, it is moving to the workstation number 3, again it is coming back to the workstation number 1. Means whatever the travels are taking place by this particular product, that travel or their movements can be represented by this particular travel chart. Why this particular travel chart is required? In order to obtain the repetitive operations. Means product is moving from station 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and again 3. From 3, again it is coming back to workstation number 1. That means repetitive movement is taking place. So such type of the repetitive movements can be represented by this particular travel chart. In addition to that, some models are there, some standard charts are there. Micro motion study. Micro motion study means name itself suggests that motion study and micro motion study. whatever the little movements are taking place, whatever the little movement or the micro motions are taking place by that particular material, or micro motions are taking place by that particular man, all these particular motions movements can be represented in the micro motion study. Then Therblichs, then Simo chart is there, critical examination, some separate examinations are also conducted by asking the some questions, why, how, who, when, such types of the questions will be asked in this particular critical examination. So through this particular question answering also you will get some of the answers. Then critical examination and selection and the implementation of the method. So for which types of the operation, for which types of the product, which type of chart, which type of diagram, which types of study, which types of the travel charts we have to implement in the industry, that selection and the implementation also we are going to study in this particular method study. Means here the maximum focus in the chapter number 2 we are giving on the recording techniques. Whatever the movement is taking place by the man, movement taking place by the machine, movement taking place by the material, all those particular movements are represented in the form of recording techniques or in the form of some standard symbols. And each and every chart, each and every diagram, each and every study, it is having the different meaning. Because if you take the example, here operation chart is there, that operation chart is having some disadvantage, therefore second chart flow process chart is developed. Then that flow process chart is having some disadvantages or it is having some limitations, that limitation can be limitations can be eliminated in the second chart, that is multiple activity chart. Then if that charts are having some disadvantages, then we have developed the second concept as a diagram. If the diagrams are having some limitations, then we can use some of the standard templates, we can use some of the standard models. So like that, so many recording techniques are available. Through this particular recording techniques we can track or we can give the tracking of that particular man, machine and the material. Because what happened while converting the raw material into the finished goods, the three resources, man, machine, material, these are the three input resources, it plays very important role. And through this particular recording techniques we have to identify that what is the distance traveled by the man, what is the distance traveled by the material, or if there is any repetitive movements are there, if there is any repetitive operations are there, if there is a unnecessary operations are there, all those particular movements, their distances, their travel from one station to the another stations, all those are recorded in the form of symbolic manner. And that particular techniques, that particular recording techniques we have to study in this particular chapter, that is method study. If we will start one by one through this particular recording techniques, at that time you can easily understand that what is the use of that particular chart, diagram, templates, models, straight diagram, etc. Okay, so this is the overall content or overall syllabus of this particular chapter number 2, which is called as a method study. Now we'll start with the introduction once again. Already we have discussed, but once again we will discuss within 5 minutes and then we will stop. Okay, method study. The aim of the method study is to eliminate the unnecessary operations and select the best method for operation. The method study means eliminate the unnecessary operations and achieve the best method for the operation. Eliminate unnecessary operations means whatever the existing manufacturing process is available, from that particular existing manufacturing process we have to eliminate some unnecessary operations and we have to develop more and best economical method for the further operation. If existing process, previous manufacturing process is taking the time 10 hours to convert the raw material into the finished goods, but in that particular 10 hours some unnecessary operations are also present. So what I will do, I will apply this particular method study concept in that particular existing process, and from the analysis, if I will eliminate the unnecessary operations, and from that you will get the new method, and for that particular new method only 9 hours are required to convert the raw material into the finished goods. That means 1 hour is reduced, means whatever the 1 hour is there, that 1 hour is required for the unnecessary operation. That means unnecessarily that 1 hour is wasted to convert the raw material into the finished goods. So if I have to remove that unnecessary operations, so I have to apply the concept of method study for that particular existing processes. Then it is used to collect the various techniques which are used to improve the effectiveness of man, machine and its system. It is used to collect the various techniques. Just now we have discussed whatever the different types of the charts are there, symbols are there, templates are there, models are there, string diagram is there, then travel chart is there, then some micro motion study concepts are there. So these are the some various techniques. All these techniques we have to use and implement that particular techniques in order to increase or improve the effectiveness of man, machine and the material. So it is also called as a work design and the method engineering. So as whatever the recording techniques are available, that recording techniques I have implemented in the industry in order to improve the effectiveness of man, machine and the material. Therefore, that particular process it is also called as a work design and the method engineering. Work design means whatever the work we are doing, before doing that particular work, if I will design that particular work in the proper way, means we have to apply the concept of the method study. Therefore, this method study is also called as a work design and the method engineering. Then, as per the British standard, it is defined as recording and examination of existing process. Recording and the examination of existing process means developing and applying more easier economical method by reducing the cost. Just now we have discussed whatever the existing process is available, if that existing process is taking the time 10 hours to convert the raw material into the finished goods. Now, in that particular 10 hours, some unnecessary operations are also there. So for that purpose, as per the British standard, what I will do, I will record that particular existing process. That means whatever the previous results are available for that particular existing process, that results I will take with me. Then I will conduct some of the examinations, I will conduct some of the tests, and I will check whether that process is works in the effective manner or not. If it is not working in the effective manner, so what I will do, I will do some modification in that particular process, I will eliminate some unnecessary operations, and after that I will develop one most easier economical method. But while developing that particular most easier and economical method, we have to focus on the cost reduction also. If your existing manufacturing process is taking the 10 hours, at that time the cost is also more. But after the modification, if your raw material is converted into the 8 hours only, means 2 hours will get reduced. If 2 hours are reduced, means your manufacturing cost or the production cost is also goes on decreasing. Therefore, while implementing the concept of the method study and their techniques for the development of process, for the development of the new methods, we have to focus on the cost reduction also, because sometimes we are doing the modification, but for the modified process the production cost is sometimes increases. We are doing the modification, you will get the new process which will be work in the effective manner, but if I will implement that particular process in the industry, at that time the production cost is goes on increasing. Therefore, while doing the modification, while implementing this particular concept of method study in the industry, we have to focus on the cost reduction also. If we'll focus on that cost reduction, then automatically your cost will get reduced, means your output is increases, and with increasing output your productivity is also increases. Only increasing the output, it is not our task. Only increasing the output, it is not our task. Along with increasing output, we have to increase the productivity. But while increasing the productivity, it should be increased in minimum number of input resources. While increasing the productivity, it can be increased in minimum number of input resources. So the cost reduction factor is also considered in that particular industry. Okay, so We'll discuss about the last point, objectives of the method study. Same objectives are there. Eliminate the excess work content. Means whatever the unnecessary operations are there, that unnecessary operations can be eliminated through the concept of method study. Analyze the data operation ongoing. Whatever the process is ongoing, if any production is going on that is converting the raw material into the finished goods, at that time we have to implement some of the recording techniques in order to collect the data, and that recording techniques applied means we have to apply the concept of method study. So if any operation is going on, that means if we are converting the raw material into the finished goods, at that time we have to apply some of the recording techniques. So due to that recording techniques, you will get some of the standard data of that particular required operation. Then develop the better method for doing the operation. In order to develop the most economical and the easier method, this method study plays very important role to reduce the monotony of the work. Monotony of the work means repeated. If the same movement is taking place in that particular process, at that time, whatever the monotony of the work is there, that monotony of the work can be reduced by implementing the concept of method study. Then smoothness of material flow within back. Whatever your material is converted into the finished goods, that material can be moved from one workstation to the another workstation, from second to third in the smooth condition without any back. Once it is moving to the workstation number 1, it should be moved from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, again 5. It should not be come to the workstation number 1 and the workstation number 2. Sometimes there is possible. Sometimes as per the requirement of the products, sometimes it is possible to come from workstation number 5 to the workstation number 1. But that repetitive movement should be less, or it should be in minimum condition. So smoothness of the material flow within minimum back. Try to avoid such types of the repetitive movements or the back positions. So we have to apply the concept of method study and improve the layout. Improve the layout means, so whatever the unnecessary operations are developed in the operation process, why such types of the unnecessary operations are developed? Because your layout is not properly designed. So if we will design that particular layout in the proper way, then we can eliminate such types of the unnecessary operations. Sometimes your workstation number 1 is present at one side and workstation number 2 is present at some maximum distance. That means that material has to travel maximum distance. Unnecessary, that material has to travel the maximum distance from one workstation to the another workstation. So in order to avoid such types of the situations, what we will do, we can design that particular layout in the proper way. Means for improving the type of layout, this concept of the method study, it also plays very important role. So with this, today we have discussed about the important syllabus, whatever we are going to discuss in this particular chapter number 2. Then important concept of the method study, their role in the industry, which types of recording techniques we are going to implement, that we have discussed. Then as per the British standard, its definition is also we have discussed about. While developing the new method, we have to focus on the cost reduction also. Then we have discussed about their objectives. So these are the 6 major objectives which we have to carry out in this particular industry by implementing the concept of the method study. So with this, today we will stop here. Remaining part we will discuss in the next lecture.